Good morning. This is Pastor Linde with Goodland United Methodist Church. Here we are, the beginning of a new month. Winter is around. Did you remember to turn your clock back yesterday? Because times need to be adjusted. As we begin our session with Breakfast with God, we look at the book of Isaiah 61:3. Giving them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of the spirit of fainting. So they be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. I want to talk about your agenda for today. Our days are hinged together in a unique way according to God's word. Yesterday's pain, sorrow, and disappointment, as well as yesterday's victories and blessings, sometimes become today's agenda. Were you rejected or alienated by someone yesterday? Then God's agenda for you today is one of restoration and reconciliation. Were you struck with sickness or an injury yesterday? Then healing is on today's agenda. Were you dealt a disappointment or handed a bad report? Then today is a day for hope and good news. Were you struck with a calamity or disaster, like forgetting to turn your clock back? Then today is the time for recovery and rejuvenation. Did you fail in some way yesterday? Then God's agenda for you today is that of a day of second chances. No matter what worry, frustration, or heartache that you took to bed with you last night, today holds the hope for a reversal of that trouble. This is the redemptive nature of God's work in our lives, turning our losses into victories, our sorrow into gladness, and discouragement into reason for praise. The prophet Isaiah tells us this process results in our being so firmly rooted in God's goodness, we are like great trees of righteousness. We grow to the point where we see no matter what may strike us on one day, the Lord has a plan for full recovery and more beginning the next. The Apostle Paul echoed this when he wrote in Romans, "All things work together for good, to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." Our rebound is never back to the point where we began, but always takes us higher. We are wiser and richer for it. No matter what hits us, our roots grow deep, our branches grow longer, and our fruit is increased. Expect God's turnabout in your life today. After all, we're working on God's agenda and not our own. This is Pastor Lynn. Have a blessed day.